Evan Clayton, right? And he is the lead teacher here at this space. And this is
McClymonds High School.
McClymonds High School. And he works here full time, and he is the lead of the space. And can you tell me about this space and what does it have to offer to students?
Yeah, so McClymonds High School has been reinvented throughout the years, but it's 105 years old. It's a historical school, historically black school here in West Oakland. And our newest kind of development as a school has been over the last 8 years. We've developed pathways. One of those pathways is engineering. We also have the entrepreneurship pathway. But the goal of both those pathways together is kind of prepare our scholars to engage in the industries that are in this area, the Bay Area, so to be prepared to pursue a 4-year degree in an engineering field if they're so interested, or to be prepared to go straight to career or skilled trade. So our pathway is really setting up students with hands-on experiences and that college preparatory track at the same time. Because especially moving into the future of work, students need to be able to not only design and solve problems, but also manufacture and engineer and get their hands dirty and really make some of the things that might otherwise be theoretical in another program. So right now we're in the shop. This is where we do our metal and woodworking. We also have some maker spaces upstairs attached to the library where students do some of the digital fabrication. So kind of a wide array of techniques that they have that accentuate our curriculum and then also give them opportunities to explore and build their own projects.
So how do you feel that are students really taking advantage of these programs and these spaces like that? How do you feel their engagement? Like, are they really going all in, or could it be more engagement? How do you feel along those lines as far as engagement?
Yeah, good question.
Students engaged.
As a teacher, I always think we could have more engagement. You know, I don't have 100% of students in this school come through the space, but I've seen students choosing to come here as opposed to some of the other classes or classrooms where students also opt out, whether they're not showing up to school or they're leaving classes early or not doing their work. Versus in my room and in this space, you know, I got kids who have PE and it's supposed to be over there and kind of meandering their way over. Say, hey, Evans, how I get in shop class? Or up in the maker space, kids staying after school, coming in at lunch, skipping some of their other classes to come be in our room and do what we're doing. And so some of those informal things kind of give me the indication that students really see the opportunity. Obviously, I think engagement comes from having like a whole system around it. So our courses are on point. All of our teachers are engaged in the space, so like English, math, history. They all find a room to connect their curriculum to what we're doing. So
how do you like that connection when it comes to like connecting teachers and their curriculum to spaces like this?
I think it's great. I mean, ultimately, I think a team that builds together stays together, right? And this is an opportunity for people to build. And so building with teachers looks like, hey, you have a really great project idea, or maybe you have good content. Like, let's try to figure out a way to make it relevant to kids, or what can kids make or do or symbolize once they understand your content, using the tools in space here. Because the kid sees a laser cutter, a 3D printer, or a CNC router, and like, man, like that's clean. Like, I want to do that. And if you attach that interest to any content, then we're moving. Then we're not fighting for kids' engagement. We're really starting to hone their energy towards what they want to do. And so the first step is really getting the teachers comfortable with it, getting them to understand project-based learning, where there's opportunities for hands-on engagement, and how this really does connect to all their content areas. It's not just some cheesy add-on. It really can be rigorous and integrated.
So with that collaboration with teachers, is that spurred by you or spurred by the teachers themselves, or how did that type of collaboration come together? Because I had to do something really tricky. Like, I had to pretty much get these teachers' lunches and for them to come into my space to do some collaborating. But how did you pull in your teachers, or was it more like the administrators? Or?
No. Administrative leadership is not something I've experienced a lot of. Teacher-led, definitely, kind of a mixture of approaches. I think I treat my teachers like my students in the way that's like, I got to make it appealing or engaging for them too, right? So you talk about the food, definitely lots of food. So we have like like a maker happy hour.
Okay. I like that idea.
Sober only, but you know, like Friday afternoon, we're kind of all burned out. It's a happy hour energy where teachers want to connect with each other.
Yeah.
So we just threw a couple of those in the maker space upstairs, and teachers were like, "Oh, wait, I really want to make something for me." You know, it's like once they have that excitement, then it's easier to bring them in. Also apply
That's
for
awesome, man. They need that happy hour on Fridays.
Yeah.
I can remember so many times on Friday where I just felt like I was like comatose or like almost dead.
Yes.
It's like no energy whatsoever, you know, and it's like teachers have to deal with this every Friday. Like they're going through a life, and even, you know, with all the online stuff, you know, it's a different type of problem. But, you know, burnout's really real when it comes to this line of work.
Yeah, so really treating like these spaces as an opportunity for healing, right, and connection. Because at the end of the day, when we are feeling burnt out, we're feeling like, man, I'm putting in all these work for these ungrateful kids, and this is terrible, this is hard. You know, like that feeling you get as a teacher sometimes, like, man, I'm killing myself, and for what? And so you just need to be able to vent and connect, and like be in a room with other people who feel the same. And you know, typically you're just going over to the bar downtown, but like we can connect over making something together or learning a new skill together. Because ultimately, as teachers, we all love learning, and so when we engage in learning together, then you know we're building together. We get stronger, and so I've definitely seen that over the few years. It's like teachers get more engaged, like, oh, this is cool, and I enjoy doing this, and I want to bring this to my students because I feel how it values, or you know, how it improves me in my life. So I want, you know, we want to give that to our scholars. So yeah, teacher maker happy hours has been great. I don't know if you know about High Tech High down in San Diego. So that's kind of like a model high school. Well, now they have elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools, but the entire curriculum is built around project-based learning. So they still sort of have regular classes, but everything the student does is around a project. So like building a tiny house, or making a pamphlet for environmental awareness, or like it's all project-based learning in a really rigorous way. And because they've had such a successful program, they now have a graduate school of education on campus, and they kind of spread their model. So I, with a group of teachers last year, we applied as kind of a group to go down there. So we got to spend a week, a few days in San Diego. So San Diego's nice. You know, so when you bring up professional development opportunity, the teacher's like, hey, we're going to go down to San Diego, we're going to check out some cool stuff. Exactly, right? Then they're on board. So, you know, it's the same with students. You find something that's going to appeal to teachers, and they're like, I want that, let me get that. Like, I'm trying to go to San Diego, I'm trying to make cool things, I'm trying to do something fun. So opening up those pathways, and then once people are in, then the work starts. Because then we're asking each other questions like, okay, well, like, how do we make this rigorous? Or how do we make sure that students are learning things in this space and not just making things and goofing off? Or how do we connect making and the engineering and the math to the history and the English and the humanities? Which is actually it is very possible once everyone's in the room together and we're bringing all our skills and expertise. So once people are in the room, then it's just a creative session. We can get going.
Definitely. And I feel like, you know, when you say like when people are in the room, you know, students these days, they need audience, you know, especially when they're making something, you know, you got an audience to show off their creations, and, you know, having that importance of having that audience for that important feedback is very vital for the students, for them to develop it, for them to continue to make.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the key pieces, right? Because schools are already, in a way, separated from a lot of the world. Like, it's part of the world because we all go through it. But I feel like a lot of teachers or a lot of the school system tries to manufacture problems for kids to solve when kids already have plenty of problems that they need to solve, right? So if we make that the focus of the curriculum, then the authentic audience becomes themselves, their families, their peers, and they're proud of their work and invested in the work because it means something. Right, so that audience and that authentic problem are like critical to really getting the engagement we need, so that learning happens. And that's a part of the project-based learning stuff. Is once you have an audience, you know, your students are demonstrating their work to somebody. Like a kid's going to show up differently for an exhibition if they know that their family's coming, all their friends, maybe whoever they're crushing on from across the way, someone who's in like a professional in the industry, connected to what they're doing. Like they're acting a different kind of way than if they're just getting up in front of my class and sharing some slides. It's like that authentic audience you touch on. Like I feel like that's a really critical component.
So how do you feel about the future of spaces like that, like this, and you know, where do you see, you know, spaces like this growing, and where do you see students that come through this space? Where do you see them going as well when they come through this space?
Good question. I know I've done my job when a student's ready to come take my job. So I see this space, like right now we're in maybe year 2, right? So we just opened the shop. Makerspace has kind of been going. By year 3 or 4, definitely want students having their own student-run enterprises. So making things that they're just selling online or selling at some of the markets that happen in Oakland, and then training the trainers. So as juniors and seniors come up and they've been in the space for a couple years, now they need to be the ones who are showing the younger cats, okay, here's the ropes, like here's how you use the chop saw, here's digital fabrication, this is how our laser cutter works, keep it clean, right? And then by the time they graduate, they want to come back and use the tools. So whether that's renting out tools because they're continuing production on their own, or just coming to use the space outside hours, I want this shop to be a community resource.
That's awesome.
Because I think making is a center of community, and it can be a center of community, and students don't exist in a bubble. Like to only say this is for students for their 4 years here. Like, no, like this is for you. Once you're part of the Mac family, you're going to be part of the Mac family. Your whole family's part of the Mac family. Like if someone wants to make something come through, and there should be someone here who can teach them, because each one teach one.
Yeah, each one. And you gotta have that sense of family. You also gotta make a space where you gotta have a safe space, but you gotta have a space. You gotta have access.
Yeah.
Access is probably one of the key things that holds people back for spaces like this. They don't have access. It's closed after school.
Right.
It's closed on the weekends. Those are the main times students want to make.
And want to do things, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, giving them accessibility to the space during the time, and then even further, when they're out of school, be able to come back, that is awesome.
Right. So I was brought to tears because a couple weeks ago, one of my students, who I haven't been able to see in 6 something, whatever months, emailed me. She's like, hey, I'm trying to do some sticker production. I was thinking about this material and this machine, and I was like, can we get these? I know I'm a senior, but I'd really like this. This would be a great project. I'm like, this is what this is all about. Like, I want you to have that self-initiative. I want you to be coming up with your own project ideas. And you can absolutely come back after you graduate. Like, that's what I want. I want this to be something that you feel is a part of your life. Not just a part of school, but like building community around, having your hands on stuff. Like, that should be a part of your life. That's a part of a healthy community. And with the world the way it is right now, we need to be shoring up our healthy communities.
Definitely. We need a lot more health. We need a lot more healing.
Right.
And I kind of like the fact that you kind of touched on that, and how this space can also be a space for healing as well. Because there's a lot of stuff that happens on the school campus day in and day out. And to have a space to be able to release all that and be able to focus your energy is vital for students to have an outlet like that.
Right. It's the social emotional learning with the integrated projects, like they can all come together here. And it works because, I don't know, like even just opening up the shop the last year, a bunch of old heads and alum from like 60s, 70s be coming through. It's like, man, the shop's open again. Man, right over there. I remember I made a cutting board over there. Y'all making cutting boards? So when I hear these alum and people I've never even met before, and they're coming in and sharing their experiences in this very space, I'm like, that's powerful. Like if you're remembering that from however long ago, if that's one of your experiences that really stands out to you, to me that's evidence like, okay, like when we're building, when we're just sanding something, like even the simple pieces, like the amount of investment we have in that experience, and that product, it stays with us. And then those people want to come back, and they're like, yo, can I do a guest spot? Like, can I come through? Like, let me talk to the youngins. I didn't know we even had shop class anymore. Like, let me come on. So it's not even creating community, it's just reactivating the community that's been here.
Man, that's so powerful, man. And that's so needed. Especially communities like this that are fading away, that need, staples like this to be, their healing spot, their learning place, their safe space. And I really appreciate what you're doing, man. And I want you to keep going.
Hey, man, it's all love. It's fun. Yeah, and come through. I mean, you're part of the Mac family now, too. So you gotta cut something on the table, solid. Let me know.